On today's media briefing, particularly on the discussion documents that are focused on today?
Well, today's discussion document is social transformation, and quite a number of proposals that the subcommittee is making with regards to fostering or enforcing social transformation as well as social cohesion. And one of those proposals, for instance, is a proposal looking into giving support. It says that legislation should be developed to protect people from unjustified repossessions when they face financial difficulties. And remember, this is a big issue, especially in townships where people in townships have their houses repossessed. I remember about a month ago, there was a story of a man in Soweto, if I'm not mistaken, who owed around 100 rand to a bank, and the bank wanted to repossess the house. And the ANC is saying that there should be legislation to protect those type of people. But then the other argument is that how do you balance the right of the bank to reclaim the money that has been lost or reclaim money that's been owed to them, but also the right and the need for human dignity as well, because considering that these are people that go into these houses, who purchase these houses because they need that shelter, but then the bank steps in when there are defaults in payments and then decide to repossess the houses. The ANC is also speaking about the question on whether there should be a limit to who can access RDP houses. But Alicia, this is not a new debate. This has been a debate that has been going on since 2009 when President Jacob Zuma started the Human Settlements Department, replacing it with the Housing Department, and then Minister Tokyo Sexwale asked the question and made it clear that government cannot forever deliver RDP houses. Mm-hmm. There must come a stage where people can buy their own homes. And this is a discussion that's still continuing, but it seems as though that the ANC is not bold enough to say that indeed the party needs to stop or government needs to stop issuing RTP houses or free housing, because even if you look at this document, if there's one thing for certain that the party prides itself in, mm-hmm. it's the millions of houses that it's been able to deliver for free.
But speaking of housing and RDP houses there, Aldrin, I mean, we do know the term in higher education, we have the missing middle. Talk to us about this, the new issue that has been introduced, the gap housing that has made its way back on the table now.
Well, this is another balancing act that the government needs to find, is that when you look at the fees must fall instance where we had the missing middle, where you find that you have people who earn enough money, who earn too much rather to qualify for NSFAS mm-hmm. Funding, but don't earn enough to get their own, to source their own funding from institutions, from lending institutions, as well as funding personally their own education. So what we have in the housing market as well is that you have a situation where you have people who are working who earn too much money, like you find, for instance, people like nurses, police officers, teachers, they earn too much to qualify for an RTP house, to qualify for free housing. However, though, they earn too little to qualify for banks to give them houses, to give them financial support or financial assistance for housing. So what the ANC is calling on is that they're calling on the banking institutions to come to the party to help fund or subsidize at least this gap, this housing gap that we currently find at the moment, where you have professionals like teachers, as I mentioned earlier on, and nurses who have the money. However, though, they don't earn enough to qualify for financial assistance.
You know, another interesting topic there on today's discussions, Aldrin, is, of course, there is that push for sports to get more funding, including, very interestingly, a levy on sports ticket. Do tell us how that is planned to pan out.
Well, we have to see how people, and especially those in the sports fraternity, respond to this, because the ANC is making the suggestion that there should be a 5% levy on tickets that are being sold on big events and so forth. But what this essentially means is that you and I, those who watch sports, those who go to these sports events and tournaments as well, would have to cough out extra, because the organizers of these events will certainly push the 5% levy to the final consumer, to the person who will be buying the ticket at the end of the day. So we'll have to see and wait and see, rather, how sports fans as well as sports organizers respond to this. But this is in line with the National Sports and Recreational Plan to ensure that there are sports facilities, sports infrastructure across the country, including in every school as well. The ANC is also making the proposal that if you look into the municipal infrastructure fund, that the municipal infrastructure fund, there should be a 15% that is ring-fenced that will particularly look at sports infrastructure. Now, the big debate here is that how do you take 15% from, let's say, about 8 billion rand for sports infrastructure when that same fund is supposed to be a fund that helps make sure that every person in South Africa has access to water, has access to proper sanitation, for instance, and has access to electricity. So how do you, again, make that balancing act? And the ANC is arguing that sports as well as recreational facilities is not a luxury, it's a necessity.
All right, Aldrin, a very quick one before I let you go. I am interested in knowing who forms the basis of this committee. We have seen the different constituencies headed by the different NEC members of the ANC, but who in particular is dealing with the social transformation discussions?
Well, the subcommittee chair is Lindiwe Sisulu, who is the Human Settlements Minister, and that's the reason that she's chairing this subcommittee. But also, you have Batabile Dlamini, who is the Social Development Minister, but of course she'll be here if the minister does decide, this is Human Settlements Minister, Sisulu does decide to invite the likes of Batabile Dlamini to be part of this discussion. But I think quite particularly, Alicia, something that just came to mind right now is that what I find absent in this document, and I guess this is a debate that the ANC needs to have as well, is the issue around xenophobia. How do you deal with the issue around xenophobia? Because if you look at the discussion documents, the ANC deals with xenophobia as a criminal issue rather than a societal issue. Because if you look at the attacks on foreign nationals, these are attacks that are happening in townships. These are attacks that are happening in towns as well. It speaks to a social issue where people are speaking about there are limited infrastructure, limited resources that they have to share with foreign nationals, whether these are foreign nationals who are here illegally or whether they are here legally. Because one of the proposals that the party makes, for instance, in this document is that there should be a cap to the proliferation of big stores, big chain stores like the likes of ShopRite, Pick n Pay, in townships. But remember that the businesses in townships as well have also been making the argument that there should be, the government should regulate the number of foreign nationals who own shops in township, because they feel as well that the foreign-owned shops are squeezing out these local retailers as well as these small businesses that are being held and tuck shops that are being held by local community members.
Thank you so much for that update, Aldrin. We'll definitely touch base with you during our crossings from 10 o'clock to 11 o'clock. That is Aldrin Sampear, live to us, of course, from Luthuli House. Now, gentlemen,